Hi and welcome to my YouTube channel, Filippa and Healing, where I discover everything around healing, especially of the pelvic floor. So I had a prolapse diagnosis in 2016 actually for the first time, but didn't understand what that was. So 2019 I had a extremely symptomatic prolapse, which I have now healed. I am still on a healing journey, so I share all the methods that I come across in this channel. So when I say that I have healed the prolapse, it is basically the symptoms of the prolapse. I still have, for example, scar tissue that I work on, and I am going to work on that until it resolves. And that is also the topic for this video. So many women ask me, how can I find a hands-on, hands-in practitioner? As soon as we realize the root cause to most pelvic floor dysfunctions are actually scar tissue, we want to treat it. And no doctors do that for us. Actually, I was speaking to Ellen Heed the other day, which is one of my idols. As many of you know, she's the founder of scar tissue remediation. And she said doctors actually are the ones creating the scar tissue, so they would never work with the bodies like body workers do to heal them. And I just think that is a really interesting perspective and a really important one. So we want to find practitioners who can help us heal these scars. It might be tricky to find a practitioner for this. I encourage women in general to start doing this themselves. But for myself and for many women, it's a huge help to have a practitioner, a body worker who can guide you through it. And then slowly you can start to integrate it into your own healing practice. So if you are watching this video, you have probably been diagnosed with some kind of prolapse, or you are feeling bulging, heaviness, chafing, anything of that. And regardless of what diagnosis you have, I talk about that in a different video and why we cannot always trust the diagnosis we get. It's actually a better way to start to get familiar with your own vagina so that you can self-diagnose and understand what kind of prolapses or prolapse is it that I have, and how severe is it, where is the scar tissue, and what can we do to work on that. So the most available practitioner are physiotherapists. A women's health physiotherapist is what you should be looking for. And preferably, they should be practicing something that is called myofascial release. That's when they do the hands-in work. And they put pressure in different points inside your pelvic floor and vagina. And that can be really, really helpful to start to dissolve the scar tissue. That is probably the most available one. I have two other options for you that, for me personally, was more interesting. And the first one is the scar tissue remediation practitioner. And I would suggest you Google your location and scar tissue remediation. Maybe you want to add pelvic floor to that and just see what comes up. And it might not be the top results, so you have to scroll down on Google and, really try to find your way through. And the scar tissue remediation, I talk about that, what that is, more in depth in a different video, but they will work much more closely on the scars and connected to the emotional aspect of the scars. So once they identify a scar, they will work on that scar and see what emotions comes up. Is it pain? Is it numbness? Are you feeling grief? Are you feeling angry? Anything that comes up, and then also process that and give space for that to leave the body and leave the scar. I love this type of treatment and highly recommend it if you can find someone who practice this close to you. And the third practitioner is actually quite similar to scar tissue remediation, but not all of them are so familiar with the hands-in work on scars in this specific way. The technique is called de-armoring. So you could just again Google de-armoring and your location and see if you have any practitioners. And they do the work all over the body. So we can have a lot of scar tissue in our bodies from different types of traumas, physical traumas, psychological traumas, any accidents, anything that is stuck. And this will affect our fascia wherever it is on the body and the pelvic floor too. So it's a great approach. It's a full body approach. The sessions are quite long, and they offer hands-in work too. And I also just want to emphasize that it's not only hands-in work in the vagina, it's also through and via the anus, which can be super beneficial. It can have huge effects, especially if you have hemorrhoids, a rectocele, and so on. So that would be my tips in general. Use Google, use the word that you want to look like, if it's physiotherapist, myofascial release, pelvic floor, and your location. You Google that, see what comes up. Same thing with the scar tissue remediation. You Google it, your location, and see what comes up. And then the third one would be the de-armoring and your location, and see what comes up. And I wish you the best of luck with this. Please let me know how this goes for you in the comments, and if I can help you in any way, find a practitioner close to you or anything else. Have a great day.